Alright, welcome to another video. This is the second video I'm doing on VS Code extensions. In the first video, I showed a tier list of the most productive VS Code extensions, and in this video, we're going to look at VS Code themes. In particular, there's one theme that I found really interesting, and that's the Vibrancy theme. So if you go into your VS Code and do a Command-Shift-X or a Control-Shift-X, you can just search for, let's say, Vibrancy. And you can see that it's the only option. So let's go with that. And what this basically is, you can see it's sort of a blurred out effect. And it's described as enabling this acrylic/glass effect. Now before you go ahead and install this, there are a few pointers you need to take note. So right at the top you can see that Windows 10 users, you may experience a slight mouse lag when you're moving the window. And for Windows 7 users, unfortunately you can't use this extension. You need to be at least Windows 10. And lastly, with regards to installation and uninstallation, I'll be going through how this is going to work. But if you would like more details, you can read the FAQs, which the link doesn't currently work, but you can scroll down and find it later. So the installation steps are quite simple. You can read the get started over here. But if not, I'm just going to go ahead and click install. And before I move on to the next step, there's one important thing to note here, which is that the extension works by editing VS Code's CSS file. And when you do that, you'll probably see a warning coming up that says that your VS Code is corrupt and they'll ask you to reinstall it. But if that's the case, you can ignore it. And another thing to note is that once you install this extension, you'll notice that at the top of your VS Code, you'll see this unsupported warning in the title over here. And to fix this, you can refer to this extension over here. But if that doesn't really bother you, like you don't really look at the title bar, then all is good. And if you continue scrolling, you can see here are some options that you can customize with this extension. In this video, I won't be going through how to do this. If you are interested, feel free to explore or make a comment down below and I'll do my best to help out. Here is what it looks like on the dark mode. So to activate Vibrancy, first you need to do Command-Shift-P or Control-Shift-P on Windows and reload Vibrancy. So if I click reload Vibrancy, you can see that they ask you to restart to take effect. And we can do just that. Once it's back, we still don't see any changes, but if we escape out of this full screen mode, you see that the changes actually take effect. So one thing I was a bit confused by was that this extension only works when it's in the window mode rather than in full screen mode. And that's an issue that's been raised on their GitHub. If you're interested to know the details, you can go to the GitHub from their extensions page and look for the issues. But if not, this is basically what the Vibrancy theme is like. And you can see that if you go into a file and you do, let's say, a comment over here, comments look great as well in green. So if you notice, this extension is actually in preview. So you'll see that there might be some issues if you're working with this. For example, you see that at the bottom, your code installation appears to be corrupt, which is not the case. It's just that this extension is changing your VS Code's CSS. So if you want to ignore this, you can actually go into the settings and click don't show again so that you don't get bothered by this. But personally, it doesn't really bother me, so I'll leave it as that. And the other thing is the unsupported warning at the top over here. That's also fixable if you scroll down and look over here. So please refer to this extension fix VS Code checksums. So that's for installing this extension. What if you want to uninstall it? Then the command isn't just to uninstall over here. So how you will need to do this is to do a Command-Shift-P to open the command palette and search for Vibrancy again. And this time you want to disable Vibrancy. So let's select that and you will need to restart your VS Code. And when you're back, you realize that the Vibrancy effect is gone. So you don't actually have to uninstall the extension. But the thing is, if you only uninstall the extension, the changes won't take effect. So make sure that when you're uninstalling, you will need to go into the command palette and click disable Vibrancy. And now whether you want to uninstall this extension, that's up to you. Another related theme that you might not have heard of is the Synthwave theme. So that's the Synthwave, which is this. And this is also quite a unique theme, but I personally don't find this very usable. Basically what it does is that it gives your text the neon highlight. So for all your functions, you get a highlight over it. The way you can do this is you can install it and then enable it. And so if I enable this, you can see in my code, currently the changes have not taken effect. So let's go into the Synthwave again. To activate this, you need to set the color theme, Synthwave, and we need to go into Synthwave and enable the neon dreams. So by default, if you set the color theme, that's not gonna work right out of the box. You need to enable the neon dreams, restart the editor. The way this works is similar to the Vibrancy theme where you need to edit the VS Code CSS. So now that I've restarted it, we should see that the neon effect takes place and you can see here we have highlights. Maybe for some people this is more attractive and more pleasing to work with, but for me, I would prefer to work with the Vibrancy theme. I think that's a more unique and usable theme. Alright, so those were basically the interesting themes that I wanted to share. But if you're a more practical person, there are also a lot of other themes out there that are really great out of the box. So first of all, let me just show you how to disable this Synthwave. So again, do Command-Shift-P and then Synthwave, we need to disable it, restart the editor, And when we're back, we're going to look at more interesting themes. Now, if you want to quickly explore different themes and try out what they look like, you can do Command-Shift-P, search for theme, and you can see the option Preferences Color Theme. Select that, and you can see all the available themes that you have installed on your computer. Let me just start from, let's say, IU Light. So this is one of the few light themes, or perhaps the only light theme that I would consider using. Most of my themes are actually dark themes, but if I was to actually choose a light theme, this would probably be it, because it's pretty clean. It's not exactly white, so it's a bit pale white. That's why it's not so glaring on the eye, which is why I would want to use this. Besides this, there's 1337. So this is another great theme that I think is pretty basic and looks kind of similar to the Dark Plus default theme, but I really like the coloring here much better. And so this is one of the themes that I use most frequently, and Ace Pale Night is another great one that I think is very easy on the eye. So it's not too dark and the colors are not so bright and glaring. The IU themes are actually quite nice in my opinion, and there are a few variants. So there's IU Dark, there's IU Mirage, which is a slightly less strong effect of the IU Dark. And then you have the City Lights, again another dark theme that's a bit more bluish in color. One of the most popular extensions for themes in VS Code is the Community Material theme. So this is the default, there's the darker. And one I really like is the Ocean theme. It's a deep blue, so I really like the green as well as the light blue over here. So if I were to choose one of the material themes, I think this would be it. Another popular one is Darkula, which sort of gives me IntelliJ vibes, which I don't think is the most attractive theme to me. Firefly Pro is another great theme that I think would be pretty useful. You can see that the colors are relatively brighter compared to other themes, but it's not so glaring, and you can still differentiate between the function names as well as the strings. Graphbox, another great one. Jellyfish, if you prefer something that's brighter. Mariana Midnight is pretty good as well if you're looking for something less striking. There's the cool version, grey version, warm version, and now at the Mayukai themes. So this is quite similar to the IU themes, but I think they're also great options. One that I really like to go is either Mayukai Dark or the Mirage version. So these are pretty nice colors, I think. Looks pleasing on the eye and generally has a good vibe to it. There's a mix of Mayukai with Graphbox, if you like that. And another popular theme in VS Code is the One Dark Pro. So this is kind of like a throwback to Atom, another code editor. So the colors are very similar. Panda syntax is pretty good as well. Plastic, rather similar. And also just to point out what makes a good theme, right? So for me, when I choose a theme, it has to look good in pretty much all situations where I'm using the code editor. So whether it's a JavaScript file, Python file, or you're writing comments, that's also very important. So if I select the Spirited Away, you can see that when I make a comment, it's still clear, I can tell where my comment is. So I think this is a really all-rounded theme that works well in pretty much any situation. Besides this, we have another Spirited Away, which is a variant of this. So Yonsei is another dark theme that's based on Beyonce. And before I forget, one more theme that I find is really interesting is the hot dog theme. So this is going to be one of the worst themes that is probably out there. You can see we have the hot dog stand and it's going to look horrendous. I'm not going to enable it because I don't want to destroy your eyes, but if you're interested, feel free to install it and try it out yourself. So these are the themes that I find are really great for feeling motivated to do work. Let me know what are your favorite VS Code themes. Please drop a comment down below. I would love to know what themes you're using. If you have any comments or suggestions for future videos, feel free to also drop a comment. And if you found this video useful, do give it a like, share, and subscribe for more such videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.